Here we have our new premium amplifiers. We have 8 different models, 4 being in a mini case, 4 being in a larger case with regulated power supply. So let's take a look. And every one of our premium amplifiers comes with a remote base control knob. Now what we did on this knob is we also included an LED that not only is the power indicator, but also changes to a different color whenever the APEC engages. That way you know whenever the amplifiers reach its clean maximum output. And we also extended the knob so it sticks out further from the case so you can easily get a grip on it. Versus a lot of the remote base control knobs that we've noticed are so short it's just hard to grab. We also added a rubber ring so it has a nicer feel to it. Now in the owner's manual we did something a little different. We just cut right to the chase. You've got all your specifications. And then on the second page, this is a chart that tells you what every single click of the potentiometers for the frequency pots are. So you have 41 different clicks, and you're able to look on the chart and see what frequency every single click is, so you can fine tune your amplifier. That's really comes in handy whenever you're doing bandpass crossover capability on a 3-way component set. If you want to know what 450 Hertz is, you know, it might be click 27, but you'll be able to find it on the chart and precisely tune it in. So with our new amplifiers, we spared no expense. We hired Stephen Mance with Z Audio. He's been engineering amps since the 70s, and he's got a lot of tricks up his sleeve still on the best Class D design circuitry out there, and he's incorporated everything that he's learned over all the years into our new amplifiers. Let's talk about our heatsink design. First, we started off with a heatsink that provided plenty of cooling for our larger powered amplifiers. Then when it came time to design a heatsink for our smaller powered amplifiers, we simply just narrowed down the current design we had, so our mini amplifiers match our full-size amplifiers. Now this comes in handy whenever you're installing them side by side in an install. Instead of looking like 2 totally different brand of amplifiers, they have a very similar look. Thanks to keeping the same size CNC polished lines on the amplifiers and the CNC engraved logo, they look very well together in an install. Let's talk about the amplifiers as far as the monoblocks. We've got the 500x1 mini, we've got the 700x1 full case premium, and we've also got the 1200x1 full case premium. Now one thing that's common with all of our amplifiers is they're all full range Class D amplifiers. And the frequency response, unlike other Class Ds, is 10 Hz to 35 kHz, and they're all built to be premium sound quality. Now I did say every channel of every amp is full range, and I even mean our monoblocks. Now the reason we made 2 ohms stability instead of 1 ohm is you get a higher 4 ohm power rating. That way if somebody does want to run our 500x1 on their component set, 1 per door for perfect stereo separation, you can do that, and you'll get 350 watts of 4 ohm power out of that amplifier. All of our amplifiers do have bandpass crossover capability, even our monoblocks. Now our monoblocks, they're set up flexible enough to do subwoofers or mid-bass drivers as far as the crossover, the way they go. High pass is always on our monoblocks and all of our amplifiers. The high pass does go down to 10 Hertz, so it's also used as a subsonic filter. So every amp does have a subsonic filter built in. On all the monoblocks, they are 24 dB per octave Linkwitz-Riley crossovers. They all have the balanced line or unbalanced line input, which is common on all the amplifiers. So if you do run these in an OEM system, you can run speaker wire directly into the amplifier by splicing it onto an RCA jack and flipping the switch to balanced line input. Then they all become auto turn on. So all the amplifiers, you don't have to run a remote wire. As you move up from our 500x1 in the mini case to our 700 and our 1200, our 7 and 1200 have fully regulated power supplies. So you don't lose any power as your voltage drops in your electrical system. And they are the most efficient designs as far as Class D that's ever been done. For instance, our 1200x1 only requires an 80 amp fuse. That's quite unheard of. Most 1200x1s require 120 to 140 amp fusing. Our 700x1 only requires a 60 amp fuse, and our 500x1 only requires a 40 amp fuse. On our 700x1 and our 1200x1, they also do master slave. So you can link these amps together for larger mono applications. You can also cascade as many monoblock amplifiers together, and one amplifier will control all the preamp and the gain features in the entire run of amps. So if you want to pack a whole van full of 36 of these amps for fine tuning, you just tune one amplifier and it tunes all the rest of them. Now let's take a look at our 2-channel amplifier. We do offer one. It is a 100 watt per channel amplifier. It does have bandpass crossover capability, like I said, every amp does. Now this amplifier is flexible enough to be crossed over from 10 Hertz to 4 kilohertz. So this amplifier, you can run this on mid-bass drivers, mid-range drivers, tweeters. The crossover is flexible enough. And like I said, with our click and place potentiometer, you can accurately look up the frequency that you need to set it on. This is also an incredible amplifier for subwoofers, thanks to our APEC feature, which is featured in one of our other videos. You can watch that. This one bridges out to 250 watts continuous, but with APEC you'll have to compare this to a conventional 500 watt amplifier when you're running on subwoofers. It also comes with a remote bass control knob. It does have your APEC light. Now that's not a clip indicator, but this does show you when it's reached its maximum clean output. So if you want maximum dynamics, just simply tune the amplifier where the light barely flickers on or doesn't flicker on at all, and you'll enjoy the maximum dynamics and headroom that you would with any amplifier on the market. If you want to have more bass on a constant note, you can simply turn the gain up and watch the APEC light stay on more and more and more, therefore you'll have more bass. In our mini case, we have our 80 watt continuous power amplifier, and on our large case premium amplifier, it's 170 by 4. We figured, why make anything in between? If you're going to upgrade power, you might as well go double the power. At least you're getting something that's noticeable. 3 decibel increase is a noticeable increase. That's why we have 80 watt per channel and 170 watt per channel. And the only difference between these two amplifiers is that the larger case does have the regulated power supply, well, like I mentioned before, so it will have a harder hit mid bass and bass. And you really do need that on a higher powered amplifier. That way, you're not, whenever your electrical system is dragged down because of a little more power, you're not going to be hurt on the output of the amp. They all have similar features as far as the preamps. Each amplifier does have bandpass crossover capability, just like on the 2-channel. It is flexible from 10 hertz to 4 kilohertz. It does have balance line inputs. Now this one has the switch also for input mode. So if you only have 2 channels of RCA jack, you can plug it into 2 of the inputs and flip it to 2-channel input and it'll feed the entire amplifier. So with these amplifiers, they are very versatile. There's many different applications. Because the crossover functions are so variable, you can create bandpass crossover networks, high pass or low pass. So with the 4-channel amplifier, you can do a front and rear speaker system. If you don't care about fader control, you can run that on channels 1 and 2 on high pass, run your subwoofers on channels 3 and 4, and then you'll enjoy the extra bass output if you want with the APEC feature. Now they both do come with remote bass control knobs. That's included in the amplifiers. A lot of 4 channels on the market do not have that remote bass control knob, and even if they do, a lot of them don't even include it, but we figured why leave something out that's meant to be there, right? Let's take a look at our most flexible amplifiers, our 6-channel amplifiers. In the larger case premium amp, we have our 170 by 6. Now that's at 4 ohm. It does 250 by 6 at 2 ohm. Regulated power supply in this amplifier. In the mini case, we have what we call our 900.6. It's a staggered power amplifier. It has an 80 by 4 on channels 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 200 by 2 on channels 5 and 6. Now channels 5 and 6 will bridge out to 560 watts of power for your subwoofers. Or if you want to run this amplifier on a 3-way component set, all active, you can, because the crossovers, like on the other amplifiers, are flexible enough to do bandpass crossover features. You can run tweeters on channels 1 and 2, mid-range on channels 3 and 4, and your mid-bass with 200 watts per channel on mid-bass drivers. And that's exactly what you need in a car whenever you have your mids and highs, fiberglass in your pods on your A-pillar. You need more power on your mid-bass because a mid-bass driver, when measured on an RTA compared to an equally efficient tweeter or mid, and when it's placed on the A-pillar, there's about a 5 to 7 dB difference. So you do want more power on your mid-bass drivers. And that's one reason we made a staggered power amplifier. Also, you want more power on subwoofers generally. You want at least 500 watts on subs. Most customers do. That's where this amplifier comes in handy. Both amplifiers do feature the balance line input like all the amplifiers. We're able to run speaker wire spliced into an RCA jack and plug it directly into the amplifier, flip the dip switch that's internally located on this amplifier to balance line input, and then it'll be auto turn on at that point. Perfect amplifier for an OEM system integration, without the need for the high dollar OEM integration parts from other companies. Okay, let's take a look at our 170 by 6. It does have an APEC light per pair of channels for easy tuning. It does have a mode input switch for the RCA jack, so you can run 2 channels of signal into the amplifier. It will feed all 6 channels. You can flip the switch to 4-channel or 6-channel. Depends on how many RCA signals you have coming from your deck. We chose to do a 6-channel amplifier versus an odd number channel of amp because it creates a more flexible amplifier. If you have a 5-channel or 7-channel amplifier or even 3-channel amplifier, you're kind of stuck on doing a whole system that includes subwoofers and mids. But when you do a 6-channel amplifier, you have so much more flexibility. You can bridge channel 5 and 6 to create a 5-channel. In this amplifier, you can even create a staggered power, super high powered 4-channel. Run 170 by 2 to your component set in the front. Bridge channels 3 and 4 to 500 watts continuous. Bridge channels 5 and 6 to 500 watts continuous. Then you have a very large staggered powered 4-channel. 170 by 2 your mids and highs, and 500 by 2 to subwoofers. This amplifier can also be bridged down to be a 500 by 3, all running subwoofers. It is that flexible. We have performed several listening tests with these amplifiers against other amps that cost 2 and 3 times as much, just to verify that the sound quality is where it should be and what you would expect out of a premium amplifier. So check us out online and find a dealer that is close to you so you can go audition our amplifiers and find out how truly amazing they actually are. If you cannot find a dealer in your area, feel free to give us a call. We'll help you out with all your questions and make sure that you get the best amplifier for your system.